Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global GEG. My name is Georgina, and I am the leader for GEG Amman. Oh, wrong side. There we go. GEG Amman, representing Global GEG today. And we are super excited to bring to you today the 5th episode of Kickstarting a GEG. And really exciting, kind of tying everything together and wrapping up loose ends to help people get started with their GEG today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we will get started. If you guys could please go ahead and drop your name in the chat and your Twitter handle and let us know where you're joining us from today. It's always exciting to connect with our wonderful Googlers and Google leaders and Googly everything from all around the world. So I see Robin's here. Hi, Robin. Thanks for joining today. And we'll go ahead and share the screen. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so for today, it's all about steps to success for your GEG. So we're going to take a look at where we've come over our journey over the last 5 weeks and where we're going to go to give a big, massive lift off. Super exciting considering the world literally just lifted off with NASA the other week, right guys? So same kind of excitement and idea with GEG. How can we give that super burst of excitement to get started? All right, Stacy's joining us. Jody's here from South Florida. Good evening or good morning, wherever you're joining from. Here in Amman, Jordan, we are 7 p.m. in the evening. So that's where we're at. And I understand that different areas around the world are definitely earlier in the day, possibly. Okay, so here's my information if you would like to connect with me. And I'm also going to go ahead and drop, as always, the details for this agenda with everybody so that we can all interact together. So here is the edit access, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat. Okay, here we go. There you go, guys. There is the link if you'd like to follow along in the agenda for today. And go ahead, it's edit access. So if you want to scroll all the way down, as always, there's the question and answer slide. And there are some activities, as always, during today's show. So please feel free to go ahead and join along. And there's my information if you're interested to connect. Also, if you click on the GEG Amman logo, you're welcome to connect with our GEG as well. We super have enjoyed recently the international connections thanks to this awesome global GEG platform that has helped amplify our GEG all the way from the Middle East. So again, another reason to connect with Global GEG and keep that awesome global community growing. All right, so what have we seen since last week? So, or the last 4 weeks. So we took a look. Number one episode was all about what is GEG, really digging into the whole idea of community. And we did some jamming or jamboarding, I guess we could say, to dive into what does community mean to everybody and really build on that as a global approach. So it was a really exciting time. And if you click on either the arrow or the image, it will take you to the episode if you'd like to watch the replay. Episode 2 was all about building the community. And so we took a look at different ways we could encourage others to join us. And also, as well as taking a look, we also jammed as well, and taking a look at what leadership was and how we can inspire, empower, learn all of the great pillars of the GEG community. And we talked a little bit about each of the captain roles as well. So that's all in episode number 2. And again, if you click on the arrows, you'll have the links there as well. Episode 3 was super fun. That was all about communication and promotion and social media. So we took a look, and it was a little bit of a follow-up of the social media presentation the same week, a little earlier, by the inspiring, what was her name again? I feel bad now. Mandy, is it Mandy, Stephanie? What was her name again? Mananza, I think. Mary, that was it. Mary, the lovely Mary. Sorry, Mary. The lovely Mary gave us a brilliant social media presentation, and the one we had for episode number 3 was a follow-up and taking a look at how we can build our social media for our GEG. And then episode 4 was also super exciting. I really can't say I have a favorite because they're all unique. But number 4 was really awesome because we were able to collaborate and we did a round table with the different GEGs. So we had GEG leaders from Global GEG. We had a round table of 5 and we were just sharing some of the things that worked really well in our GEG and things that we're hoping to do to achieve even more success going forward. So the round table was super awesome. If you missed it, definitely click on that to watch the replay. Super great inspiration there. Okay, so I have found for everybody a really inspiring TED Talk. It's about 14 minutes or so. And obviously we won't play it today, but it's there for everybody if you would like to watch it on your own time, talking about what does success mean. And I want to spend the first little bit of today's show talking about what is success. And I put there around my virtual whiteboard all of the 5 senses. When we think about our young learners in education in the classroom, we think about getting them involved and connected with their senses, right? To understand the world around them and understand and make connections. Because as we may or may not know, the 5 senses help us connect things in our memory and our brains to allow us to retain. And it also connects us when we get older and provides us with memories. So the 5 senses are really important. And success definitely will mean something different to other people. We can also think about time. Success, how is it measured? How does it vary? How long or quickly does it take to achieve success in different things? So I thought what we could do to kickstart today's session is invite everybody to go ahead and click on the banner of 5 senses of success, and you will see that it is embedded with a Jamboard. Everybody loves jamming, right? Okay, so when you click on that, it's going to take you to this jam session here. And if everybody would like to take a slide, I see some people are starting to join, so that's great. If you would like to take a slide, and you can either use the sticky notes on the left-hand side, or you can use the image icon on the left and you can search for GIFs or regular images, or you can use your pencil icon to draw. And I would just like everybody to take a slide and express, what does success mean to you? Let's have just some ideas about what it looks like. Maybe there is any of the 5 senses really that you think of when you think of success, because this is what we're going to build on how we can be successful as a GEG. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to add your slides. You can go ahead. I'll just make sure the edit access is there. It is not. So we're going to change the edit access so people can edit the slide deck. There you go, guys. I realized that because I saw there were no slides populating, so I thought, oh no. All right, there we go. So if you refresh your browser, I'll go ahead and refresh mine as well. Not that I need to, but that's how you would do it. And then it should give you access. You'll be able to click on the next slide. Can you guys just let me know if you can? Yes, perfect. I see a slide created now. Great. So we'll go ahead and let you guys get that started. And while you guys are adding your ideas to build that collaboration together of success, I'll go ahead and share what success means to me. So success to me is really personal, I believe, for myself anyway. But as an education leader and an educator, it's also about how do we empower the success of those around us, including our students, including our team, and even on a personal level, family. So it's personal, internal for ourselves, and then it's also how do we help others to be successful. So some of the and again, there's loads of books and readings and podcasts, and I shared one of my favorite TED Talks with leaders to inspire them. But some of the senses that I think about when I think about success is I thought about, for sense, I thought about flowers. I thought about how I really love to go and splurge on a nice little bouquet of flowers because I love flowers, to treat myself after I've achieved something. So flowers were, that floral sense was something that really came to my mind. And then as far as sight goes, a smile really came to mind for success. A smile or a high five or a handshake or a hug, obviously may be difficult now during COVID for the actual physical, but when you see people smiling, that really means something positive. And so when you've been able to help other people, whether that be other educators from schools that you're currently supporting with trainings or in the Google group, the Google Educator group, as Smile really relates to success for myself. As far as touch goes, this was a really hard one for me, because as I was doing the 5 senses myself earlier today, I was like, touch, how do you actually touch success? And then I was thinking about every time I create a social media post for my Google Educator group, every time I click on a pop that came up on my mobile phone that says, hey, thanks for sharing that resource. Thanks for the great webinar. It was so great to meet everybody at the GEG event. So all of these things that you actually can, touch and do, or when we're creating, so that digitally right now, that could be like typing on the laptop, that's all related to success for myself. There was a big taste there. And I was thinking about what I had shared with you guys during episode 1, when I said that I wanted to buy a big, gigantic cake to celebrate the new trainers that had onboarded with GEG Man. Right at the beginning of the month before COVID hit, we had planned an event. So cake came to mind, first of all, when I thought of GEG and how much I'm looking forward to eating that cake with my trainers in my team. And it could be anything. It could be like sweets or any fruits, or anything that you have at your events could be related to that. And then as far as sound goes, I always think to those awesome gifts, or like Darren's fireworks whenever we played his entry to the events on our webinars. Any music, maybe you have a theme song that you always play at your training sessions. So anything that could be related. But there is something that I want to focus on, and I don't want to give it away. So I'm going to go take a look now at the other slides now that I've shared, and see what everybody else is saying. Okay, so we have GEG SoCal. That's awesome. Slide number 2, jam number 2. Let me just use the board here to scroll. That way we can take a look at some of the slides that are completed. Let's see. Awesome. Yay. So people are still working. So what we can do is, I'm definitely going to talk about this picture that I see here. Somebody has written that they think success feels like the after warm and fuzzies when a trainee has an aha moment. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And it's so true, right? Same like in a classroom, when the students have the aha moment, such a rewarding feeling, right? Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And also the mountain, right? I like, again, the connection, helping each other out, and the help lifting each other up to success at the same level. That it's not just like always one person that's a success, but it's the success of the entire team. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing, whoever that was. And let's pull the slide deck down again. A few empties. There we go. There's another one. Let's see what this person said. So chocolate, yes. Who doesn't love chocolate, right? Hugging your loved ones, aha moments, and lavender. Oh, that's really great. And lavender is just so calming as well, right? We think about well-being during this current time of COVID-19, and absolutely, definitely a calming feeling there. And then that's great. So we'll take a look again at the slide deck at the end to see if anybody else has added. But the other thing I wanted to mention when it comes to success was that it is a journey, okay? And I really want to hone in as a GEG leader that success is a journey, and that and definitely it's climbing and it's growing and it's building, and that it never actually stops. So it's kind of like that never-ending staircase. When I was like preparing the deck for this, I saw a lot of success stories, and it had that like blocks and that staircase. And then sometimes people were on top of the images and so at the top of the staircase, and sometimes not. But I wanted to hone in on the fact that the success of a GEG is the continual ongoing growth and success, taking the team with you to success and just growing. It never really stops. And every little step along the way, every little building block, every milestone is a massive success. So you want to make sure as a GEG leader, as a captain, or any member of the team in your GEG, that you're taking the time to celebrate that success at every step of the way, every piece of the milestone. So super, really important. So I'll leave you guys with that TED Talk, and it's a super inspirational piece. I hope you enjoy it, and please feel free, to tweet out after or on the Facebook group and share if it inspired you, or if you found something that resonated with yourself. I'd love to hear how everybody found or was able to connect with that TED Talk. All right, so we'll move along to the actual steps. So what are the steps to success of a GEG? So we talked about success and that whole idea of journey and helping each other out. How do we make that happen? So when we are setting our GEG up, I put together 5 steps for success. So number 1 is creating a GEG sign up or registration form, Google form, because you want to be able to connect with your community. And if you, so in order to connect, you need to know who they are or have a means of communication. So in setting up the GEG registration form, and I put a few screenshots to show you examples of what that looks like for my own registration form. And I wanted to say to everybody, because of Google for Education and, you know, the NDA and the security and whatnot, we weren't able, or I wasn't able as a GEG leader to share this Google form with the entire community that are watching live, but I would be very happy to share this template with anybody who is a GEG leader. So if you are watching the call and you're inside the slide deck sharing, please go ahead and just leave a comment on the slide deck by clicking anywhere on it, and just using the comment button at the top right, or you can right click on the deck and add comment, and just go ahead and type your name. So I saw that Robin was in there. So for example, Robin could add her name and her GEG and maybe her email address, and it would be my pleasure to share my Google GEG registration form with other GEG leaders so that they can also set that up. Okay, so if you would like to leave your contacts, you're welcome, or if you would like to reach me directly, you're also welcome to do that. And I'm going to share my information now. You have that on slide 1, actually. Perfect, awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the form for a little bit. How do you start? What do you need to include in your GEG registration form? Okay, so basically, as you can see on the left-hand side, you have a little welcome message. So you want to welcome everybody. I've included the GEGMN logo inside the Google form at several different places, and you will find that our GEG MAN registration form is bilingual. So if you have a second language in your area that is, you know, even or maybe not even, but there are other languages and you need to be able to reach the educators of those communities, then please go ahead and have it bilingual or trilingual, however many there is languages in your area. Really, really important. I know that here in Amman, Jordan, we are majority of Arabic. Arabic is the language, it's the primary language that's spoken here. And so it's the main language. And so if we want to make sure we can reach all of those schools, it was really helpful for educators to sign up and complete the form because we had their language. So something to consider for sure. You definitely will also need to include in your Google registration form things like the NDA portion. So as I said before, we can't really share the portal necessarily or my form, but once you're in the portal and once you have a copy of the form, you can just take mine and adapt it for your community. But it basically talks to how we protect the data of the people in our community and how we are, you know, a nonprofit voluntary organization of educators and leaders here to help everybody grow with Google. So just a few little points to make sure that everybody's privacy and safety is utmost and foremost important and taken care of. After that, you can just basically split your Google form registration into sections. So we have a section for, as you can see here, there was a section for your communication. So basically, if people wanted to register for WhatsApp, we had a section where they could share their number, and we had it so that it was they were automatically added to the WhatsApp group. So that saved us a lot of time as well. So if you have somebody who can help you with that coding in your team, that was really helpful. Shout out to my co-leader Mutassim, who actually coded that for us through the form. So I'm quite grateful. I would not have known how to do that. And again, the importance of team, right? Because as a leader or a captain, you're not going to have all the answers. And it's that idea of being able to draw on the strengths of every member of your team to get the most and the richest experiences of community in your team. and help people to grow and become leaders, etc. Okay, so the first part will be communication. So, have boxes. Would you like to communicate by WhatsApp? Would you like to communicate by Facebook? Would you like to communicate by Google Group, YouTube, and whatever other ones you have? We talked about that in episode number 3. And then have a section. If they click on yes, make sure you also leave a line so that they can actually add their handles for you, and make sure you ask them, so by giving your handle, it's okay for us to share your successes on social media. It's really important that you get that permission from your community. I know that it's not like that for everybody. Georgina, for example, myself, super open, pretty much share everything. You can retweet me. I'm very happy. That's what GEG is all about. But we also need to respect that not everybody is like that, and not everybody likes sharing everything. And so, we need to make sure we get that permission. So number 1 is all about communication. The second section, as you can see here, was G Suite for Education. And it was all about what are your strengths with the G Suite for Education apps, and what are you not feeling so comfortable with? Because as you onboard people into your community, it's important that you get to know what they're really skilled at or not. Maybe you can shout out to a person who says, oh, I'm really brilliant with Jamboard, like Rachel from GEG UK, and be like, Rachel, would you like to come and do like a session on Jamboard for our GEG? So if you have that information, that's going to be really helpful, especially during remote learning and distance learning right now, where we're not able necessarily to meet up in person. Or maybe your area is just really big, like Stephanie in America, that's a really big state. And so maybe in-person meetups are not always possible. So you want to make sure you get as much information as you can. And it also allows you to forecast and plan a bit about what you actually will need to train to support your community with their skills, because there's that whole learn pillar, right? And we always want to be helping people to learn. So if you are able to get those check boxes and see, oh, there is a super big gap with the new Google sites. It appears that nobody who's registered for GEG, a man, quite understands how that works. Again, that's just an example, but that's the kind of data that you'll be able to pull by having a section like that in your GEG registration form. Okay, the third screenshot that I put in there for our GEG a man form was the events. And so you also need to know, what are people excited about in your GEG? Maybe people are really interested in meeting up in person. Maybe people in, big countries like America or Canada are super excited to meet super awesome, inspiring Googlers and are willing to fly across the state or take a long train ride. So if that's the case, you want to collect that information so people can reach you, right? So, if they're interested in a monthly event, there's no point also, guys, to burn out your energies, right? So no need to actually organize weekly events if people are not actually interested in doing weekly events. So to give you an example of that, I want to share with you guys for Tip Tuesday. So those of you who have seen GEGMN Tip Tuesday, we actually offer a 30-minute, it's kind of like a technical skills building. And so we offer that every Tuesday, but it started out bi-weekly, and only during COVID, we turned it into weekly. So you need to start balancing like what your community is interested in seeing and participating in, and then of course adapt it as you go. So allowing you to collect information on what events they're interested in participating in, but also what events they are interested in leading. So this is a great opportunity, maybe to collect who you might want to reach out to say, oh, you know what, Rachel, she's going to offer a Jamboard soon, and you said you would love to give a Jamboard. Why don't you guys work together? Partner up. So it's a great opportunity to allow members to collaborate together as well. Okay, so are there any questions? I'm just going to take a look at the chat to see. Stephanie says she's finished her Jamboard. Stephanie, if it's okay with you, we're going to come back to your Jamboard at the end, because I think that'll be a really nice piece to finish off with our Grow with Google, if that's okay. So thank you for letting me know. And Also, yes, Global Geiger saying that if you are if you would like to join as a member or a leader of Global Geg, you can let them know. And one of the Stephanies, I think possibly Abid, has dropped the Global Geg sign up form as well in there as well. And Robin said it's been a huge source of support. I totally agree, right? Super inspiring people in this group. So definitely join up. Okay, so let's go ahead then and jump to slide number 2. After you have shared your registration form, which can be on a variety of social media platforms, or it could be by word of mouth when you share it with members of the community and then they share that form out with their schools and their communities of educators, it's going to pile up very quickly and grow. So that's really nice. So when that happens and you have been able to add people to your different social media platforms, and then you're ready to create your first event. So step number 2 is, what are we going to do? So I did share this in one of the other episodes, but I'm going to drop it again for anybody who is there. You want to be able to create an agenda. So when you click on that link, it's going to ask you to make a copy of the agenda. So you can just go ahead and click a copy, and then you can remix that for your own GEG. So please go ahead and do that. It's a brilliant opportunity to have like a slide deck, where a one-page slide deck where your community can click on different areas each month. So then each month is connected to the agenda. So then if I click on monthly webinar agenda for March, for example, so that was our monthly webinar series number 5, then you also have examples of decks that are in there. So how can you set up your agenda? And I know last episode, so if you'd like to take a look again at a different GEG, Stephanie Howell shared the awesome Ohio agenda in episode 4, so you can check out that replay on a Google Doc and how they develop that collaboratively throughout the month. So there are loads of different ways you can do it, but this is the way we set up our agenda, a little bit more visual, and then you can click on, and it's an example also of an interactive story as you go. So I won't spend too much time there because I know that we shared that before. We also run the G Suite updates that way as well, by clicking on a different box to take you to a different slide to give you the update for that month as well. So definitely, you can definitely take a look at that for ideas, inspiring ideas, or you're welcome to go ahead and use the template. And you know, if there's images, they're also embedded. So I'm known for my transparent embedding. So if you have any of my resources, please make sure you hover with your mouse or click on different places, because you'll definitely find treats in there. Okay, so that takes care of the agenda, or the resource, I should say. Let's take a second to think about what agenda would actually look like to set your GEG up. So this, for example, is the agenda that we have set up for our monthly webinars. So we host this once a month on one of the last days of the month, depending on what's working well, because we also poll our community out on Facebook to find out when they would actually like to have that webinar. Sometimes people prefer on the weekend. We just finished the month of Ramadan, and so that ended up being not on a weekend. So you just have to check your community and see when would be convenient for them. But basically, we always start celebrating. So our agenda, we start by celebrating what happened in that month. So we take a look at, you know, so last month, for example, or actually, no, sorry, this is from March. Yeah. Either way, we have recently been having, as you guys may or may not know, well-being meetups. And so we've been celebrating those, a lovely chance to connect with people locally as well as internationally. They've been dropping in on Sundays. And then we also took a look at Tip Tuesdays in that agenda. But it could also be that on your highlights celebration slide, you could have like your Google educators. So last month, I posted all these certificates of educators that had achieved their L1 certifications from different schools across Jordan. It was a really proud moment, and I'm so excited that everybody is being able to participate and grow their own skills to support their communities and students as well. So it's a nice idea to start off with a celebration. I then have something that I've labeled as Googly Treats. You can either use that if you like, you're welcome, or you can choose something else if you think that it's a little too googly for you. And the Googly Treats are basically made up of things, of resources that we've either found through our Twitter journey during the month, or things that we created ourselves, or things that Google for Education have shared also with us. So here, again, with the clicks, you can click on different things to take you to different areas. So with the Be Internet Awesome, try to embed things for people who are attending your meeting. So you can either do this as a meeting or an event, whatever you like, and you don't need to have an agenda for every event that you do. So I should clarify that that is not mandatory and you don't have to have one. However, if you're someone like those that you've already seen so far, then you may have quite a few things to discuss, right? Celebration and G Suite updates and resources to share with the community. So an agenda is just a nice way for you to be able to organize your GEG event and allow other people also to have a heads up on what's coming throughout the event. So then also we have the section for the G Suite updates, which I already talked about, and then we have the Q&A section. Now I have to give a big shout out to Eric Kurtz and Stephanie Howell from GEG Ohio, because they share their Google Doc out. I'm not sure if it's a week or two before or halfway through the month, either way. So the community is actually able to build on that Q&A throughout the month, so that they can support their community when they're live on air in answering those. So it's a really nice way to do it, and may actually be something that we move towards incorporating during the next academic year. So thank you for that inspiration, Stephanie and Eric. And again, your GEG, you may have even more than GEG UMan has to share. So again, you can build your agenda however you like. Okay, so let's go back here to our Kickstart a GEG. Perfect. So step 2 was all about the agenda, and I'm just going to check in the chat to see if there's any questions. Stuart's joining us from GEG UK. Hi, Stuart. Nice to see you again. And Stuart's sharing that most of their live streams have been for upskilling and reminders and networking. Yes, absolutely. And again, that's another great point, is that your events and your events that you're creating throughout the month, they don't need to be a monthly event with all of this information. It can be as simple as a meetup. It can be exactly like Stuart said, training to help everybody upskill, because we're going through, distance learning, remote learning right now, and it's important that we help everybody build their skills. So thank you, Stuart. That's wonderful. Abdelrazak is saying, commenting on the Google Doc. Okay, let me see if I can fix that for you. Thank you for letting me know. And Dodi, hi Dodi, shout out to Dodi, who's joining from Cairo, Egypt. You're welcome for the resources. I hope they help all of our friends back in Cairo. That's amazing. Yes, Stephanie's explaining that it's edit access now, and then the doc is changed to view access, just so that we can share everything accordingly. Perfect. And Stephanie says, yes, please steal our agenda. So Stephanie, you're welcome to go ahead and drop that again. And I know that it's in the deck from episode 3 as well. So that's awesome. And Stephanie Rothstein says she's also happy to share the GEG North Cal agenda as well. So that's wonderful. Yay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's move on to step number 3. Thank you for your comments to all who joined. Step number 3 is communication and promotion. Some people like to call that step advertise. So we basically set up our community. We've created a Google form to collect everybody's information to share with them. And we've also created a plan. So what will our event look like? And now we need to advertise and tell everybody around the world that this is going to happen, and come and join and collaborate and share with us. So I basically dropped there the same information for this deck on creating a slide for communication and promotion. But I do want to just hone in on a couple things with this step, because it's really important. there are people who will follow your GEG and they will know that certain events are coming up and they will look for those events. And so consistency is really, really important. Once you start communicating, just make sure that you're communicating in the same style or the same way so that people know. And as your community grows, you may add to that as well. It doesn't have to just be stuck in one thing. And I know Mary also mentioned that in her webinar that she gave with Global GEG as well, that it's super, super important to be consistent with your communication. So what I'd like to do with that is I'd like to, we have a question before I move on there. Hold on. Pilar, hi Pilar, thanks for joining. She's asking, do you think that sometimes the audience can be reluctant to fill in the forms constantly? Yeah, that is a really great question, Pilar. Absolutely. Everybody is super busy. Teachers have their own stuff, administrators have their own, you know, agendas, and everybody is busy, especially with the end of the year. But I do think it's important that you share the form. Obviously, nothing is mandatory in GEG, right? Everything is nonprofit, it's voluntary, and it's all about sharing and growing. But as long as you get it out there to your members, then they have the ability to fill it in when they can. I know that I was just discussing with my awesome captain, Tamina, shout out to Tamina, from GEGMN, and we decided that we were going to actually start resharing the GEG registration form, you know, at least once a week on our social media platforms, inviting others to join and collaborate with us, because it's not always, there's not always opportunity. There's opportunity in the sense that you can embed it in any training or webinar that you do, of course, but there's not, you know, the more that you promote it and the more that you share it out there, the more people are going to be like, oh yeah, I want to join that community. That's right, that community is out there. And as far as, you know, encouraging people if they're reluctant, I guess that really also depends on what you're using for social media. So it's a really nice opportunity to talk about privacy. So for example, we have a closed Facebook group for our GEG. And in order to join that Facebook group, we actually ask participants to make sure that they have completed the GEG registration form, because that means that anything that is shared in the closed Facebook group, they've already agreed to the GEG NDA portions of the registration form that we take from the GEG portal. So you want to make sure that whatever platform you're using, that you just follow to a T, really, really important, the GEG leaders portal, and make sure that if it says, you know, get consent, then you get consent. And if it says, protect the data of your community, then protect the data of your community. And if you guys ever have any questions with that, I know Abid's behind the scenes right now, and a few others that have been doing this for a while, like reach out and ask questions. So thank you very much, Pilar, for asking that. Really, really important. And if you're a captain or just somebody in the community who's not sure about, you know, copyright or sharing of things or anything like that, make sure you reach out to your GEG leader or co-leaders or captains to get those details in order to support you with that. Okay, great question there. Let's see what else is there. Stacy, hi Stacy. Stacy's joining us. I don't remember where from. Stacy Klein, super rock star Google trainer. But welcome, Stacy. And Pilar has another question. She's asking, how much time in advance do you think works best? That is also a really great question. And I think this really depends on your actual community. And so if your community is always on like Twitter, for example, a lot, like daily, like for example, we'll just go ahead and shout out GEG UK, who are all over Twitter like I haven't seen anything before in my life. So kudos to Abid and Darren and everybody else who's tweeting phenomenally. So if you have somebody like that, you know, a tweet a couple days before will probably be a great thing, you know, to alert people. If you have a community where they don't necessarily check social a lot or interact with social a lot, you may want to give them more notice. So I always recommend to people that if you are a leader, co-leader, whatever your leadership team is for your GEG, If it's possible for you to plan your events for the month in advance, I always like to send out my events at the beginning of each month with all of the links, if there's a YouTube to live webinars or any Google Meet links, etc., so that people can actually add those to their Google Calendar in advance. So some people may only have time, we have to be respectful of people's time to go in and actually take a look at that once a month. So then they'll just put those links then into their Google Calendar and they're set for the month. They wouldn't necessarily need to open it. For myself, I found something that really worked was scheduling things like tweets ahead and my YouTube links ahead. And so enabling to schedule ahead the tweets, it means that I was able to hit different time zones because we're human and we all need to sleep, right, guys? So while I'm sleeping, if I schedule tweets ahead to promote an event that's coming up, then it means that people in other time zones are able to join us or at least register to watch the replay after. So that is a really great question. I would recommend, if you're a new GEG leader, I would recommend trying everything out and watching your tweets. And again, I know Stephanie said that could be a follow-up after this little 5-part series is finished. We could do, how do we analyze each of those platforms? So like in YouTube, there's a very strong analytics, and then there's Google Analytics as well for the other areas. So taking a look at that social media and being able to see, right, what are the trends and how do we move forward with communicating with our team? So that is a brilliant question. Thank you. And shout out to Team Gridview. Okay, Abid didn't notice, but we just gave a big heart, Abid, to Team Gridview, okay? And so did Stephanie, and she posted that. Abid's joining now. Here we go. Oh, Robin says I never sleep. No, just so the world knows, Robin. Georgina definitely does sleep, okay? Georgina and myself might be a little busy, a little bit weird talking in the third person on air, right, guys? So I do sleep. I'm a little bit busy right now. It may be cut a little bit, but yes, we all definitely need sleep because well-being is very important, guys, super important. Okay, I'm going to scroll up now because the chat's starting to pick up. So let me just go back up and see what are other questions. Awesome. So GEG Ohio has shared their deck. So please go ahead and grab a copy of that. That is brilliant. Thank you, Stephanie. Super awesome. Stuart's commenting on the Team Gridview enthusiasm. Love it, Stuart. We love Team Gridview. I think I'm not being necessarily fair to Abid though, because it's just me. There's nobody from List View, bringing up the List View love. Sorry, Abid. Stephanie asking if Abid can sleep. We'll leave that till the end. Jody's laughing. Okay, awesome. So that's great. Teresa, hi, welcome, Teresa. Okay, so now the next part of today's webinar I'm really excited about is building our first, or it might not be your first. If you've already been communicating, then it may be your 5th or your 2000th, like Stephanie Howell. But we want to go ahead and take a look at what would be a first social media post. So I've gone ahead and listed some of the platforms like that I use around today's whiteboard. And then again, if you click on step 4, which is Grow with Google, it will take you to the jam, and I would love it if everybody could share something that works well for them, create a social media post. So it could be, for example, and I called that one GEG advertisements, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that everybody has access. That's another good point, see guys, to make sure that you've given everybody access before you actually have your events. Really, really awesome. So go ahead and just click on the title for step 4 and it will take you to the Jamboard, which is right here. And would love to see everybody grab a slide and create their first post. Now, you might want to go and grab a post that was successful in Twitter and just import your image there. You may want to be super creative and do something like this, where you go in here and you right click inside your drive and you can actually click on a Google drawing. And I know we took a look at this before, and you might want to go ahead and create an infographic, right? An infographic is that image with text to promote and advertise your event. So if you do that, you could then take a screenshot and import that into your GEG advertisement Jamboard, and so we could share. I think it's really nice because some people really are into Twitter. And then I know I've shared with you guys before that here in Amman, Jordan, or here across Jordan, Twitter is not very popular. Even some of my co-leaders don't use Twitter, refuse to have a Twitter account, and that's okay because not everybody likes to communicate in the same way. So whatever your go-to platform is, go ahead and take a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share a couple of mine that I found worked really well. So whether you'd like to create a Google drawing or just go ahead and draw on your slide deck. Oh, I recognize that one. I'm going to go ahead and shout out this awesome GEG who is launching soon. This is one of my all-time favorite infographics. And I don't know, I'm sure, Robin, you can go ahead and let us know in the chat if, you know, she was super inspired by the NASA launch in America recently, or she is just super excited by rockets. I don't know what it is, but this is such a beautiful infographic, and well done to Robin and GEG South Florida. And if you didn't see that on that slide deck, it is launching on June 11th. So set your calendars and let's all join and help give that GEG a super, super rock star liftoff. So well done. Let's go through the slide deck and we'll see the jam slides. I should give people time to do it. Okay, so we're going to come back to that one. Let's go ahead and revisit, because I know Stephanie dropped in the chat that that she had been working on her 5 senses of success. So Stephanie, I don't know if this is your slide or not, but whoever slide it is, I noticed that they actually doodled images related to their sticky notes. And I love that. I actually don't see a lot of that where there's doodle and sticky notes across. There's not enough doodle and chatting. So I love that. That's brilliant. Images also really related to connections, right? When we think about inspiring. So let me see if I can find Stephanie's slide. Oh, I think I found it. Oh, there's so many cool things in here. Yay. Okay, so let's start at the beginning and let's just do a quick run through of GEG success together. Sorry for the sniffly nose. I'm just fighting a cold right now. So excuse me if you hear me sniffle. All right, GEG South Carolina or California? Somebody help me out. California, it's written there. It's okay. Clearly need to put my glasses on, guys. Okay, how cool is this? So we have Tech with Becky. We have GEG South Cal, and there's a link in there. So if you'd like to join South Cal, please, SoCal, sorry, go ahead and fill in the registration link there. It's so cool to join other GEG guys. I just recently watched Nikki Laverne's, I hope I said your name right, sorry if not, virtual classroom webinar and learned some really cool tricks to get images for my virtual classroom from Nikki. We're looking forward actually to having her as a guest Googler on our Tip Tuesday in the next few weeks. So that's why it's so awesome to connect with other GEG. So just because you have your own GEG doesn't mean you're just bound to stay with that GEG. The whole point of Grow with Google is across the world, people. So definitely connect with everybody. I love the Bitmoji there, and success is helping others to become more successful. This is such a beautiful side. I'm so excited, teary-eyed. True story. Okay, slide number 2. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say this is from our lovely friend Dodi from Egypt, because I love her Bitmojis, and definitely all about impact, being inclusive. Love that one, and it feels like fresh air. I love that. So amazing. And being together, collaborating all together. I love this slide. Thank you, Dodi, and I love your Bitmojis. Haha, brilliant. Okay, the next slide is thinking, and I like the light bulbs, always full of ideas. GEG is always about innovating and being creative together. I love that. And flowers, yay, that made me happy because I love flowers too. Rainbows, and I did it my way. Books maybe, or quotes that inspire. I love that. Global Gag says that Jen, I think Jen is a Google innovator, if I'm not mistaken. Jen Giffen, maybe. She's also doing a session on Bitmojis too, so you guys can sign up there. That's awesome. North Cal. Oh, Georgina is also a massive Minions fan. So super well done. And there is some words there: collaboration, smiling, happiness. Yay, that made me happy. Thank you for sharing. And everybody with their hands up in the air, super positivity, family, flowers, sushi. Oh, that inspires me. Maybe we could have a sushi get together. And that could totally be done virtually, right? We could order sushi and have a sushi get together. Absolutely. I love these ideas. And vanilla. Oh, I love vanilla too. I could spend like an hour going through these slide decks. I'm just conscientious of time. So don't mind me if I just pick out a couple of ideas on the slides as I go through. Um, Success is when you help someone build a skill and you watch them use it innovatively. I love that. So remixing things that we're learning from each other. I absolutely love that. And whoever did this slide, I am also a big fan of popcorn. Those of you who know me or who will get to know me, not really big on like ice cream and sweets, but I could eat one of those really big tubs of popcorn any day of the week. Love that. And then we have the mountain. Oh, and a lobster, the taste of lobster. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Robin's asking if Jody, that's you. I guess we're going to find out. By the way, I did a really cool lesson on this note. Since people haven't added their names, we did this really cool lesson virtually. I was inspired by the round table I did in my last episode, and we did it with my year 7 students, and they all shared a piece of their favorite work in remote learning. And then we all went back in the jam slide and we had to guess whose work it was. So we did a guess who round table, and it was really successful. So that's another share you might want to think about doing with your students. They love that, guessing whose work it was. Yeah, this one is really good. And I like the idea of the young learner, right? We talked about that before, about having the intrinsic motivation that kids naturally have because they want to explore and discover. And how do we keep that going? It's the same with GEG. It's not just about that initial launch. It's about how do we inspire and captivate our team to keep it growing throughout the year and throughout, the decade, because obviously your GEG will be so awesome. It's going to go on forever. Love it. Okay. So we're going to go back in a second. I don't want to miss anybody's slide because people put so much effort into it. I'll remove the empty slides after. Okay, good. So that was it for that. Let's go back now to the GEG advertisements and see what we have found here. Okay, so we talked about the South Florida launch, and then we have, yes, Northern Virginia launch. Woohoo! I like this one so much. So not only, I'm just going to make it a little bigger, GEG Nova. I hope that's okay because we want to see. As you guys know, I never wear my glasses on these things, but turns out maybe it's a good idea. So not only do I love the colors that they've included, like the Google for Education colors, but they're in a celebratory manner. So I really like pulling out of the sides there. It's like fireworks a little bit, or confetti, Google confetti. I love that. We were talking about our global GEG launch the other day, and I was talking about balloons. Be risk takers and go all out. Help inspire your people, motivate them. So if you have colored confetti, why not throw that in the air while you're on a Google Meet? That is so much fun. Oh, I might just do that. Yeah. Oh, Robin says she's thinking about balloons. I'm excited. I want to go to any launch where there are balloons. Balloons also make me really happy. That's exciting. So well done to Virginia. And has the launch happened? Yeah, their launch happened on the 21st, but definitely connect with those guys, and they left their bit.ly link there as well. Super amazing, inspiring leaders from around the globe. Okay, let's see if there are other, okay, some people still working on their slides. And it will remain live until the end of the session, guys. So if you want to go ahead and add your advertisements, you're welcome. The idea is just to see what works. So again, I just want to shout out that when you're using a platform, make sure you're maximizing that platform. So if you're going to post this infographic, for example, on Twitter, you want to make sure you use the hashtags, and definitely head back to episode 3 because we built a list of hashtags together there for the Google for Education community. If you're in Facebook, you want to make sure that you tag people as much as you can to invite them into your post. So you just want to make sure you maximize on whichever platform you're using. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning here. And I'm just going to check the chat again in the YouTube. Oh, Teresa, great point from Teresa. Using the Color Pick eyedropper is her favorite extension because it matches the colors correctly. And you know what, Teresa? It is a great opportunity for me to remind people that for branding guidelines as a GEG leader or any of your captains that are working on social, the colors are really, really important. So absolutely, that color picker eyedropper extension, there we go, another tongue twister, can be super useful for Chrome extensions. And I think one of our awesome global GEG leaders dropped that in the chat. And Stacy also says she loves it. Actually, guys, to be honest, that's a new one for me. I use a lot of the Adobe tools, and so I'm able to use the eyedropper in there to pick them out. But if we have a free one in Chrome that Googlers can use, that is fantastic. So I look forward to giving that a try out. Thank you for teaching me something new, Teresa. I love learning with Google. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions before we move on. Yes, guess whose work that was? Yeah, I swear, I swear my kids had a great time. So the idea was we posted whose work do you think it is, but we also had to give a positive feedback on something that was inspiring for them. So it was a whole positive lesson experience. Super cool. Okay, so let's go back to our thank you to those who shared for the social media. And then the last one, step number 5, is all about grow with Google. So you guys have seen this slide before. And once you have created an event, you can then go ahead, have your event, celebrate, etc. You want to start thinking about, as you start to grow and build your community, to get help. Because as your community grows, you will learn very quickly that it is really difficult to manage everything all by yourself. So I am super grateful all the time for my co-leaders. So shout out to Saja and Mutassim, who are currently leading GEG Man with me, as well as our captains. And I know Tamina's on the call, so we'll shout out to Tamina, who's been really helping me a lot with just managing the WhatsApp group and the Facebook group. So really helps a ton. If you're able to, absolutely. And a question that always comes up is, do we need to have captains to start? The answer is no. But Google, right, guys? Google is super intuitive and super intelligent. They know that running a GEG takes time, and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of passion. So they always recommend, if you're going to be filling out an application to become a GEG leader or a captain, to make sure that you list a co-captain if you have one, because they would like to encourage you to make sure that you have somebody who's going to be there to support you. But if you're just starting and you don't have one, that is okay too. You can build as you go. So just wanted to remind everybody that the GEG captains are there, and that you always want to be thinking about how can you invite somebody, because people could be shy. You never know. If you see that someone's been doing really well with something, why not give them a call? Send them a WhatsApp, send them an email and say, hey, I noticed you did this really cool thing in your school. So-and-so showed me or shared a resource that you created. I would love for you to hop on GEG and show the rest of the team this awesome resource, or how you built it, or how you can do XYZ. So it is all about empowering your community to grow together. So those are the 5 steps that enabled myself as a GEG leader to be successful. And success is a growing journey, as I said at the beginning of the call, and it never really stops. So I obviously have a lot of ambition and a lot of wishful, big dreams for everybody and the team to see them grow and shine. And so it's all about continuing that journey all together. So we're almost done. We have just a few minutes left. I don't see there's been any questions here, but I know people have been dropping them in the YouTube chat. So that's fantastic. Thank you for dropping the questions in there. And we wanted to also ask you, if you don't mind, to fill out the feedback form, because as always, we need to hear from everybody to know how it's going, what you found useful in the session, what you hope to take away from today's session to be able to use with your own GEG groups, and also what we can do better to provide more encouraging and engaging opportunities from Global GEG. And of course, as a trainer, I'm always looking for feedback to support my professional growth as a leader and trainer as well. So appreciate your feedback. Please go ahead and drop that in. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the, Global GEG already dropped it in the YouTube chat for me. Thanks, guys. Would you like to come on and share for the announcements, or would you like me to do those? I think, feel free. Yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Steph.
That was great, Georgina. I love the step-by-step process. I think that's going to help a lot of GEG leaders, especially for me, because starting an event, you're just like, where do I even begin? And so knowing all of the steps will really help. So we do have some upcoming events. We've got our GEG Global Bootcamp. I know a lot of you are already leaders. So if you could just share this with your groups one more time. Feel free to help us out in the chat. I know we're going to probably have a ton of questions because we're at like 1,400 people signed up. So we will need all the support we can get. That's a ton of people, and their skills are varied. So any support that you can offer in the chat or during office hours would be appreciated. And then just communicate this again with your GEGs and let them know if they're not getting emails from us to check spam or sign up with their personal account. Because some school emails are not going through. Some people did not type in their email correctly. So if there's anybody in your GEG or your school district, wherever you shared this, just make sure that they're getting emails from us. And if they're not, have them re-sign up with a personal account or the correct email with the right spelling. So that's that event. And then the next one, a part of the GEG Bootcamp is an opportunity to get grad credit. So the grad credit's going to look different than just sitting in class and taking notes. So Randall, Georgina, can you go down to slide 13 for me?
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Thanks. So Randall is offering grad credit using Wakelet. And if you have never used Wakelet before, it is amazing. Wakelet can also help you with your GEG by organizing all of your events and information into one place. You can pull tweets, you can add websites, you can add pretty much anything to a Wakelet. And so if you want to learn more about Wakelet, come to this session on Wednesday, June 10th, and learn more about it. If you are taking the grad class, I also suggest that you come to learn about how to use Wakelet for the grad class. But this session is not just for people doing the grad class. It's just going to be over how to use Wakelet and the different tools. And then our final event I'm going to mention today, and there's a ton of events on the website, so just make sure you're checking this out, is a new leader interest meeting. So as Global GEG, we are always looking for new leaders to help. We need help. We want to support you, and we just love collaborating. So if you have not signed up to be a leader, feel free to. We have 2 meetings this month to introduce new leaders due to different time zones. I know there's people watching from all around the world. So we are trying to support everybody who's sleeping right now. So we have 2 different times. One's in the evening in America, and then one is in the morning. So that way we can try to figure out when can we meet with you, because I hate time zones. So make sure you sign up to come to this event. And by this event, you'll know if you want to be a leader or if you would like just the member side of things. So just sign up for that. And then the next slide is just ways to connect with us.
Make sure you connect, guys. These Global GEG folks are amazing, and I've learned so much from them. And the people in our GEG are learning so much from people who are connecting. It's that connection piece, right? And growing together. So definitely shout out. And thank you, Stephanie, for always collaborating with me and sharing. And I'm really